And the Buffalo Sabres had the 13th overall pick in the 2023 NHL Draft. And they have taken winger Zach Benson from Winnipeg of the Western Hockey League. Gil Martin here alongside Hadi Kalakeche, our prospects expert. And we're joined right now by Joe DiBiase of Locked On Sabres to talk about this pick. And Joe, you've got to be happy with Benson sliding to 13 for the Buffalo Sabres.
Absolutely. I think Sabre fans in general are happy. This is a player that going into the day that they targeted and were excited about. A little bit of familiarity as he played with Matthew Savoie, one of the Sabres' top prospects at Winnipeg. And this theme of speed and skill and, he's only 5'10", whatever. We're just trying to score as many goals as possible, I think has got Sabre fans very excited. And I think this player is completely along those lines. So Zach Benson to the Sabres today, I think is exactly what fans were hoping for.
Hadi, is the lack of size a concern, or does his skill set more than compensate for it?
It's clearly a concern for NHL teams, but he is just, man, the fact that Daniil But went before Zach Benson in this draft just says a lot about NHL teams' philosophies. Zach Benson was my 5th overall pick in this draft in terms of the players that I like. He was in a tier with Leo Carlsson, a tier above the Will Smiths and Dmitry Simashevs and Ryan Leonards. This is a player who has perfectly adapted to his size. You know, we talk about, players that are too small, that, can't compete physically, etc. That's not the case for Benson. He's one of the most intense players I've ever scouted off the puck. The forechecking intensity and especially the intelligence with which he applies pressure on the forecheck is fantastic. On top of that, I truly believe this is the best playmaker of the draft. Last year, Zach Benson was the best player on the Winnipeg ice, above Matt Savoie, above Connor Geekie, as a draft -1 player. And now this year, he made every single line he played with at every single level, the club level, the international level. He made every line he played on the top line. And that's because of the fact that he's the two-way center of this draft, the best playmaker of this draft, and one of the most intense players of this draft. He's just, the upside with him is so tantalizing that getting him at 13th for me is the pick of the first round.
Joe, how does he fit into the Sabres, a team that's trying to take that last step and reach the playoffs this year?
It's really interesting how he fits in. I don't really know. They have so many forward prospects that Gil, if they all turn out to be good, they're not all going to fit. There's just too many of them, which is a great problem to have. But, Matthew Savoie's winger, I think in the future is, I think, a pretty natural landing spot, considering they play together now and they are incredibly fun to watch together. They have chemistry, so someday down the road maybe that's a pairing that can reignite and the NHL club that worked down in juniors. So I think that's a natural landing spot, but he adds to a strong pipeline for the Sabres up front that includes 5, 6, 7 forward prospects that you have to pencil in for someday down the road. But man, the way that he sounds as a prospect, hearing Hadi talk about him and others talk about him, I mean, I don't know how highly I want to rank him, but I'd feel pretty as confident after a Sabres prospect's been selected as what we're hearing in the positive reviews about Benson. So I think top 6 winger is right to think for this kid someday down the road.
Yeah, and he's played wing all year, but he's a center. I'm telling you right now, he's a perfect fit for a center. So I think playing, as Matt Savoie's center is just so much better of a spot for him because of his skill set. He just projects so well at center. The only reason he hasn't played there is because of Savoie and Geekie this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll see where he ends up when he reaches the NHL. So for more on this selection and all of the Sabres' other moves around the draft and free agency, tune into Locked On Sabres for free on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.